Hi, I'm Butcher Dan, and today I'm going to show you how to barbecue this wonderful tomahawk steak. Okay, right, so we're just about to light the barbecue now. We've got a big industrial coal lighter here. Obviously at home you'll have probably a smaller one, but we're used to really big barbecues here, so that's why we've got that. In the bottom of there we've just got a couple of fire lighters, so we're just going to strike a match and set those away. So just let them catch on fire there. Somebody dropped some matches in there. Whoops.
Adds to the smoky flavour.
It does, yeah. So they're burning away nicely. So we're just going to tip about half a bag of charcoal in here. And then that'll take 5 minutes or so, just until the flames start coming out the top. And then we're going to lift the coal lighter and we'll try and bank the coals onto one side of the barbecue. That way we'll have direct heat on one side and we can have indirect heat on the other side. The direct heat's going to let us get a sear on the meat, get some colour onto it, and indirect's where we're going to do most of the cooking, because oftentimes people will get their meat too dark on a barbecue, so it's a really good idea to separate 50-50 of direct and indirect heat. So this has been lit for about 5 to 10 minutes now, and so the bottom half of the coals are all white hot now. So we can lift this and we'll let the coals fall, and then we'll give it another 15 to 20 minutes until all the coals are white hot before we even think about cooking on this. The longer you leave it, the better. Let the barbecue establish its temperature before we start to cook on it. There's no point in getting in a hurry now. So we'll just lift this up now, and these are going to continue to burn. You see the top few aren't quite lit yet, but that'll be fine. In 10 to 15 minutes they'll all be lit and they'll all be burning really well. Okay, so the coals have been they've been heating up probably about 40 minutes now. You can see they're all white hot. In the meantime I've stuck some jacket potatoes on here. I've just wrapped those in tin foil with the shiny side facing in. That'll get the heat into them quickly. So these coals are now ready for us to sear the steak on. So I'm just going to take the lid off. I just took the temperature of the barbecue there. It was running at about 210, which if anything's a little bit too hot, so we could leave this another 10-15 minutes, but Video Matt's in a bit of a hurry, so we'll rush on through. So what I've got here, I've got the tomahawk. I don't usually pre-oil the steak, but on the barbecue you want to get that flame grill on there. So I've pre-oiled it, and we need plenty of salt and pepper on there. So we've got really good quality Malden sea salt. It's as good as you'll get that. And you want to be really generous with the salt. Got some nice cracked black pepper as well. Plenty of that on there. And then we're just going to lay that down straight on the coals. You can see straight away the flames starting up, and that's just from the oil. So while that's down, we can just season this side. For me, you don't really need any more seasoning than that. Put whatever you want on there. Got a little bit of oil left in here. Just drizzle that over. Get that on the coals. And this is where we're going to get the colour from. So we want to make sure, and you'll see straight away that there's some colour going on there, but that's where all the flavour is. So we're going to start it on the direct heat, let those flames come up. We'll give it a couple of minutes on each side, then we're going to move it over to this side, so you can see all the coals are banked up on one half of the barbecue, and that's exactly the reason. So we can cook with the flames on this side and we can finish off on this side, so it's not going to go too dark, it's going to be cooked through perfectly even. Just tell us when to go.
Whenever, yeah.
Right. So that's had a couple of minutes on that first side. Look at that colour on there. That's exactly what you want to see. Nice, caramelised. It's where all the flavour is. We'll just tease that down, get some of the oil off. And that'll induce the flames in there. That's where a lot of that colour is coming from. The flames directly touching the oil, you can see it turns colour straight away. So it's literally a case of a couple of minutes on each side. And then because the barbecue's nice and hot, when we close the lid, it's going to be running about 200 to 210 degrees. It's only going to take 10 minutes on each side for a steak. It's probably 2.5 to 3 inches thick, and that's going to give us perfectly medium steak. We'll rest it for a good 10 minutes as well. With a ribeye, you don't want to go too rare. For me, sort of medium is about perfect, I think, for the ribeye. You can see it's taking on that colour really quickly there. So that looks just about right to me. Nice and caramelised on both sides. So we'll move it over off the direct heat, and we'll take the lid, we'll pop that on. This one's really handy because it's got a thermometer built into the lid, so you can see we're just going to read the temperature. We want it around about that 200 Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit, somewhere in that region. We'll keep the vents open there. We'll set a timer for 10 minutes, we'll come turn it over and give it another 10 minutes, and that should be perfect. So that tomahawk's had 20 minutes now. We turned it after 10, obviously. You can see it's taken on a little bit of pinkness from the smoke on both sides, and that's just about perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to give that a good 10 to 15 minutes rest, carry on cooking the jacket potatoes on there, and to keep this warm, to keep it hot, we'll just wrap it in some tin foil with the shiny side facing in, so that's going to reflect the heat back into the steak and keep it nice and warm. It's going to let the juices relax, and it'll make it a more tender steak. Definitely recommend resting your steak for at least 10 to 15 minutes, especially one that's as thick as this. We've had the tomahawk resting now for about 10 to 15 minutes, and you can see there's no blood run out of it. It's all clear now. That's the whole idea of leaving it to rest. So when we cut into this, we'll just take it off the bone like so. We can just sort of carve into that. See, that's lovely medium there. You can just carve it into thin slices. See, that's cooked absolutely perfect there. And there's more than enough for 2 people there. Go and grab the jack potatoes. Might make up a quick sauce. I think me and Matthew are going to have a feast here.